Welcome back to the Sooner Surge for another signed, sealed, deliver video. This one comes to us in Zion Kearney, four-star receiver, 6'2", 205, 210-ish. Another great get for Emmett Jones. Definitely someone who hasn't been struggling to get receivers. Zion Kearney comes in, going to provide speed. He's been on the track in high school, done a lot of different things, but he's going to be a deep threat. Also has the physical stature that can go across the middle at 6'2", guys.
Yeah, he can really do it all from special teams to wide receiver. I think he plays a little bit of defensive back at Hightower as well. At OU, he'll just be playing wide receiver, but that versatility, you see it in his game. His ability to make plays down the field, middle of the field, contested catches. He's also able to lay down a lot of good blocks. So that's a big key component of what you need to be a wide receiver. For Emmett Jones, you got to be able to block, and Zion Kearney's able to do that.
Right, and with Zion, I really think that outside of Andrew Anthony, now obviously we haven't seen Deion Burks perform yet on the field, but I think Zion Kearney has a chance to be the best wide receiver that Emmett Jones has gotten outside of Andrew Anthony so far. I think he's that good. I think he has a chance to be a first-round pick. I think and as Hunter said, he can do it all, right? He's big, he's physical, he's fast, great hands, can win the contested catch. He does everything well. So I don't think there's one thing that I've seen from Zion Kearney on film that he lacks. And, maybe I compare him a little bit to, I would say maybe kind of Nick Anderson and just the role we could see. Because whenever you watch Nick Anderson play, there's not something that Anderson lacks, right? He can get open with speed, with size, with physicality, with route running. And I see a lot of that from Zion Kearney.
Yeah, and he's also a guy that you mentioned 6'2". I think Jeremy said 6'2". So we've talked about four other guys that they're getting that are. I mean, you mentioned like Carry On 6'6". You mentioned some guys that are maybe 5'11" burner. He's kind of the in-betweener that can do it all, kind of like y'all have all mentioned. He can do everything, across the middle, deep ball, whatever. And I also like the fact that he's pretty like, I don't want to say bold, but he's pretty outspoken, loud. I think he's going to be a vocal guy and a guy that can really lead by that way too, not just on the field, but I can see him being a leader down the road off the field. And I can see him really being an outspoken guy. And you go back to some receivers at OU. I'm trying to think, but there's been some that have been very outspoken, but then others like Sterling Shepard, who is very quiet. But I see him more of an outspoken leader. Two things that stand out to me. Hunter mentioned them both. One of the quickest ways to get on the field, okay, is to be able to play special teams. Zion can do that. I think he's very versatile. The other thing is the blocking ability. This isn't something, and I'm going to say pump the brakes a little, Jackson, on the first round draft pick and things like that. Sometimes we can't get the cart ahead of the horse here. I think he is going to have a chance. They all do have a chance to be great. He's got everything, the intangibles, everything about him speaks, NFL player. There's a lot that's got to happen for him to be drafted, though, between now and then. And I think it starts in year one at OU with some of the things we just mentioned, special teams and getting on the field any way he can, because we know how deep the wide receiver room is. I think we're all kidding ourselves. We think he's going to come in here from day one and step on this field. There's work to do. He knows there's work to do. He's not shying away from competition in the wide receiver room. Emmett Jones is going to get him to where he needs to be. But I think there's going to be some time, and I think that special teams could be a role that he makes an impact in before we see him at receiver. Well, and to me, the most exciting thing about this class even is we have yet to really see Emmett Jones with a full group and an off season and all that. We've seen what he developed those guys last year just in the little time he was there. Can you imagine a guy that comes in as a freshman and they're 3 or 4 years? Just imagine the development some of these guys are going to get under Emmett Jones. That to me is what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, what's going to be interesting is this wide receiver room is arguably deeper this year than it was the previous year. And the only freshman, Jaquez Petaway, he never saw the field after the Arkansas State game. It was very rarely. I mean, he got out there on special teams, so no red shirt, but he wasn't out there often. And if you watch the Arkansas State game, it's like, wow, he might have a really elevated role. He had like 9 catches, 10 catches in that first game, and then nothing else the rest of the season. So it's going to be interesting. And I agree. Like Zion Kearney he's a top 70 player in the country. Like he's really, really good. But you have to wait. You can't count your chickens before the eggs hatch, or whatever the saying is in that. But an interesting comparison for me, just looking at pure just size and some of the film I've seen from him, is he's the same height as a big time player in Dallas, CeeDee Lamb, played for OU as well. And coming in right now of what he's listed at on 247, he's 6'2", 200. CeeDee Lamb, his last year at Oklahoma, was 6'2", 189. So a little bit more weight already. If you watch any of his film, you can see some of his blocking ability. CeeDee Lamb was able to block like no other. I'm sure you guys remember the Alabama game and other big-time plays he made when he didn't have the ball in his hands. So I just think that's an interesting comparison when you look at them two, the way they play, and then just similar statures as well.
Yeah, and if he's anything like CeeDee Lamb, we have a special player on our hands. And as I've said, I probably am the highest on him here. It's like the same with maybe I wouldn't compare him to CeeDee Lamb, but obviously I think he is the ceiling to be a first round pick. And we all might think that, but I just think that Zion, he's really going to do some special things. Under the development, as you guys have said, of Emmett Jones, already what he was able to do, as Hunter said, in the short time, what was it, like 10 months he had so far, 10, 11 months he spent with these guys, right, the development. So, I think we're just going to see him along with this wide receiver room as a whole just take another step next year.
Yeah, Zion Kearney has the chance to be very special. There's no doubt about it. I am super stoked that he is an Oklahoma Sooner. The wide receiver room, as deep as it is getting deeper and deeper. And the numbers that they have there, guys, again, it's going to be interesting moving forward, the decisions that have to come from Emmett Jones on who's going to be playing here, because they are absolutely loaded, like Jay said, with all different skill sets. But there you have it. Zion Kearney is an Oklahoma Sooner, signed, sealed, delivered. Make sure you are signed and committed to the Sooner Surge. Subscribe if you haven't. Till next time, Boomer.